What's up, 5 Minute High Club members, to another episode of 5 Minutes or Less. Hope you guys are doing good. We have a good show for you this week, but I have some exciting news. On April 4th at 8 p.m. at Shrunken Head, there will be a show called The Fryin' of Brian. What is that? That is the roast of me for my 21st birthday. Yes, my birthday's on March 31st, and following that Saturday will be my 21st birthday roast. It's going to be a fun time. I'm going to have comedians from all over the city making fun of me. Going to have some select performances from some stand-up comedians, some of my favorites, since stand-up's my favorite thing in the world, and I love watching it. I wanted to have some of my favorites perform for me, like Summer Sterud, Tyler Stewart, Chris Cohen, and then after that, so many comedians from all over will be making fun of me. So many guys who have been on this show, like Chad Jewell, Ian Miller, Gilly, Dave Berkey. Dave Berkey is going to be the roast master. He's going to be in charge of taking care of making fun of me. I figured no one's better for the job. He already does it to me on a daily basis anyway. But it's going to be a good time. And then afterwards we'll do karaoke. Adrian X is going to be hosting that. There won't be any blind karaoke. It'll just be the good stuff. So be there for that. Be there for all of it. It's going to be a great time. April 4th, 8 p.m. at Shrunken Head. I'm sorry, I don't have a live blind karaoke from Adrian X for you guys this week. Those have been fun. Done a couple of those so far. Gonna try to keep doing more. It's just not always easy to get a bunch of those in. I'm just lucky that he lets me do it anyway. So, but there will definitely be more coming. Just not this week. This week it's just randomsongoftheday.org. But this week we have a very special guest. He is a comedian and a local podcaster named Aaron Ramirez. Funny dude. He has a podcast called Noob Thoughts, which you can check out at noobthoughts.tv, as well as sketches of his, like basketball shorts. He has some merchandise that you can check out. Some pretty good stuff. You can follow him on Twitter too, at Noob Thoughts, which is NOOB, and then Thoughts, THOUGHTS. So definitely follow him. And there's an episode of me on the Noob Thoughts podcast. You should listen to that if you got the time. I mean, if you have the time to listen to this 5-minute episode, you have time to listen to Noob Thoughts. But let's get this show going though with this song. I'll be blind karaoke singing to, which is brought to us by our friends at randomsongoftheday.org. Forerunner Foray by Shabazz Palace. Here we go. Now you could feel all the tension building up at the convention as the hustlers began to arrive. Must have been 9,000 or more that came through the door. The time was 11:55. There were pickpockets and dope peddlers, murderers and thieves, card shark gamblers with aces up their sleeves, bank robbers, burglars, boosters, and pimps. One more blaster for the streets. Ay, I was born on the understanding, stars slung across the heavens. Some might call uneven, my kind call 'em leaning. Bitch boy, pistol aiming, black star minds are scheming, fulfill all our dreaming. That's what's up this evening. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the podcast, 5 Minutes or Less. I am your host, Brian Doney. I just ordered a pizza from Donato's. It was a large pepperoni with sausage and sautéed mushrooms, and I now know what that means thanks to Nick Glasser from a few weeks ago. And my guest this week, waiting with is he actually is a delivery driver for Donato's, I believe. But he's not the guy delivering the pizza, because if he was, then this podcast would already be over. So please
help me welcome him. Aaron Ramirez, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Brian. I really appreciate it. To be honest with you, I consider myself to be a bit of a Paul Walker of pizza delivery, a bit of a Jason Statham, as it were, via the transporter. I believe that I'm honestly the best in the industry. Have you ever actually had a real-life pizza delivery driver on your podcast?
I think you're probably I think I've had a couple of people who said they used to work for like a pizza place, but you're the first like active, like you're not a veteran pizza delivery driver.
Wow.
You're currently in service. So no, you're some of the people I count on to help me defeat the Empire Jimmy John's.
Honestly, nothing is going to please me more in this life than if I see Jimmy John's completely gone by 2016.
Yeah, no, it's Oh, I actually did have a delivery driver once before. The only one who's ever really succeeded in delivering me a pizza. It was Jason Peterson from Jets Pizza, but he ended up going into a mental institution.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we don't like to talk about that too much.
Well, a lot of the times it's the fumes. I mean, you throw too many onions on a pizza, you stick that in a car, you turn the heat on in the car, and you're breathing that in. Yeah, the fumes will. I mean, I can't tell you how many coworkers I've had in the loony bin because of the fumes from the onions. You know?
Jeez, no, I never. Yeah, you never think about that sort of thing. Yeah. Like delivering pizza can actually be kind of dangerous.
Starts off with the crying spells, and then all of a sudden, because your body's being forced to cry because of the onions, you're now actually depressed, leads to suicidal tendencies. It's really a rough life to be a pizza delivery driver.
So you go from like forced to crying, but that makes you actually start crying for real.
Have you ever forced yourself to laugh? Have you ever fake laughed so hard that you laugh? You know what I mean? It's the same exact thing. So it's all neurological. There's a lot of science involved.
Okay, now that sounds pretty legit. So what do you think of my idea of trying to get pizza delivery drivers to deliver in 5 minutes or less? Do you think I'm overshooting, or do you think like that's a great way to like have everyone step up their games, considering since you're the best in the business?
You know, Brian, to be honest with you, I've always grown up on the classics, Jay-Z, Kanye West, you know, and Kanye West, he has a lyric that it goes, shoot for the stars, so if you fall, you land on a cloud. You're not going by the Jimmy John's shitty alma mater of 15 minutes or freaky fast, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You're shooting for 5 minutes. That's ambitious. I like it. I think it's doable.
Oh, that's great. So what's the quickest you've delivered a pizza?
Quickest? 7 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say 7 minutes has probably been the fastest. Yeah, I mean, we've shot for 5 in the past. It seems to be borderline impossible. I would like to really do a lot of research into your methods and different ways that you plan on accomplishing this. I'm very interested.
I'll get my intern Rick to send you that data over.
Perfect.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. I should check on him. I feel like something might have happened to him, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that later. It's fine. He's an unpaid intern.
Okay. Expendable.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that too. Do you feel like so like as terms of delivery drivers, are you guys considered like you kind of like have you ever seen the Bee Movie with Jerry Seinfeld? The Bee movie?
The Bee movie. Yeah, I thought you were saying like, this movie's not very good. I consider it a Bee movie.
No,
Bee movie. No, I have not seen that.
Okay, well, in the hive, they're called pollen jocks. The guys who go out to get the pollen. They're considered like the cool like football guys. Like all the girls want them. And like all the nerdy guys who stay in the hive want to be them and stuff.
Okay.
Are you considered? Would you be considered like are you considered a pizza jock? Is that a term?
First of all, it sounds as though that's a direct ripoff of the movie Ants. Because it's the same thing. Like, the soldiers are, like, the cool guys. They're buff. They're awesome. It sounds like the same thing. And then the nerdy workers that want the girls, but they don't want that. Like, it sounds like the same thing, first of all. Second of all, yeah, I mean, you know, to be honest with you, there's a lot of guys that are very lackadaisical. They don't care that much about getting the pizza there on time.
Sure.
They don't put in the work and the energy. And I do, Brian. I do. I was on Undercover Boss, for God's sakes, for delivering pizzas. For Donato's.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I was picked to be on that show because I really put... I mean, watch the show, everybody. Episode 64, it's on Netflix, Undercover Boss. I mean, you know, I put in the work. I am literally the fastest... I really do want to enter some sort of a contest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm pretty cool.
Well, you know what? I should do is... Well, first of all, I need to write down a note of that. We need to send Jerry Seinfeld a letter.
Okay.
Say, Jerry, what the fuck? Yeah, thanks. Oh, good. Thank God.
Yep.
Usually I have a
Perfect.
pen on me, but...
Got it right here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Why are you still writing then? It's weird. You wrote that note twice right next to each other. That's a weird file system you have.
Yeah, it's a weird tick. I have.
Well, now look. Now I keep one, you keep one. So it's like a stub. Okay,
Yep.
there we go.
Perfect.
Like
Take
a
it,
pink
sub.
slip. All
exactly.
right.
So we'll both
good.
tweet at Jerry Seinfeld or something and make sure that he really gets this message, because
Yeah, and he can go like, oh, who the...
whoever created Ants, they need some royalties or something. And
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how either movie did, and for all I know, it's the same exact people. Who knows? Who knows?
So,
What are you gonna do to take down Jimmy John's?
well, I'm doing whatever it takes. So I've been training delivery drivers to surprise them by trying to get them here in 5 minutes or less, seeing if the adrenaline can kick in, or if they can find the motivation within them to get here so fast that they can just run Jimmy John's out of business. Because forget about freaky fast. I want people to start saying 5 minutes or less instead of freaky fast. 5 minutes or less. I've time traveled on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
How far forward or back?
Well, I was trying to go back to a time period, like say mid or early '80s, where pizza delivery was a new thing. Like it was starting to happen, and I was gonna train delivery drivers back then so that they would be super strong now. But that didn't quite work. I ended up going back into the early 60s, and I ended up, there was only one place that ended up serving pizza. It was on this place called in DC at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and I ordered from Houston, and it turned out it was actually the real White House was the first place to deliver pizza, because they were trying to break into that to defeat the Soviets or something like that. Defeat the Soviets and deliver pizza.
Okay.
And I ended up seeing JFK get assassinated. And it turned out the guy who did it was David Gamble, because he'll do anything for some free Subway or free Jimmy John's.
Interesting. So you're breaking some pretty serious news here on this episode of 5 Minutes or Less. You're telling me that it was in fact not Lee Harvey Oswald that assassinated John F. Kennedy, our 64th president. That number is completely off. But it was in fact David Gamble.
Yes.
That assassin. Oh my God! Yeah. This is breaking news. I see the guy around town regularly, and I had no idea.
So you would have known if you had actually listened to the podcast, Aaron.
Wow, geez. Apparently
this was 20 episodes ago. What are you doing? Jesus,
man, I just don't have the time.
That's what everyone keeps saying. But you know what? How can people not have time for a podcast that's 5 minutes? So let's But you know what? I'm not complaining. I have a strong loyal base.
Yeah.
I call them the 5 Minute High Club.
Okay.
And they they
the 5 Minute High Club.
They make up about 2 soccer teams worth of people.
Okay.
Some of them are asexual.
Now let me ask you this: Do you hound down each of your guests that don't listen to the podcast? Do you regularly attack and yell at the guests who don't listen to the podcast?
All the time.
Is that?
I have to yell at them, because you know what? It's funny. There was this one comedian who's come up to me a few times, and he says, "Hey, when am I going to get to do 5 minutes or less, huh?" And he does that a few times. When am I going to get to do that? And then at one point, I just got so annoyed by it, I was just like, "All right, sure, yeah, let's go do one. Let's do one right now. What plan did you have in mind? What kind of angle do you want to do? What's your idea in mind?" And he goes what do you mean? And I'm like, "Have you even listened to the show?" He goes no.
Oh my God, I would have been pissed. See, I've never approached you. You just approached me in a shocking move.
Yeah.
Now listen.
But you've actually listened to it once, so I can't yell at you too much. But I will yell at you because it makes me feel better about myself.
Now let me propose something here on the 5 Minutes or Less podcast.
Okay. Especially since you're a fellow podcaster as well.
Fellow podcaster.
For those of you who don't know,
TV.
yeah, Noob Thoughts. That's Aaron's show. I've been on it. It's a fine show.
Yeah, go to noobdots.tv. You guys can find everything there. This is what I propose. I propose that we bring family time back and accomplish your goal. This is what I propose to you. Okay. I propose that all we do is deliver the raw ingredients. So this is what you do. You call and you order a large pepperoni pizza. It takes us 1 minute to throw all the raw ingredients into a box. We're there in 4 minutes. You could change this whole podcast to 4 minutes or less, depending on where we're located. I mean, and we bring families back together. Mom, Dad, Aunt Debbie that nobody wants around, but they don't want to leave her alone because Uncle Joe's been dead for 3 years and she hasn't gotten over it and she has suicidal tendencies and they're worried that she'll act upon them. You bring this whole family together into the kitchen, allowing them to make the pizza together.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. We should write down another note for that.
Okay.
Okay. I'll write a second one there. You know what? This idea is so good. I'm gonna write a third.
Okay.
So I have a copy.
Okay.
You have a copy. And here, I'll throw this copy out the door.
Okay,
there we go.
yeah.
So that way someone else can see it. So that way we're spreading the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Advertising, marketing, it's important.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to my staff about that back at the 5 Minutes or Less studio.
Great.
But yeah, it doesn't look like our pizza from Donato's is coming, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Maybe you know the guy. I think it was Devin who was supposed to be here.
Devin, Devin's the one delivering the pizza.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy doesn't know a pizza delivery from the outside of a raccoon's anus. He's a terrible delivery driver.
It sounds like you've never insulted anybody before. Like, it seems like that was the first time you ever tried to be
I'm not a roaster. I don't roast. All I roast is almonds and peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna call my boss. I'm gonna see where Devin's at, and I'm probably gonna get him fired after this delivery. To be honest with you. So.
All right. Well, Devin, we're sorry if you're listening to this, but you didn't make the cut. For my podcast or for your job. Like, you really should have thought about that. I mean. It's kind of this is an important thing. This is a war that we're fighting right now, and people like you and Aaron are the soldiers. You
we're
guys
on
are
the front lines. Whoa! It's like we're finishing each other's statements.
Sentences. No!
I'm so glad I finally got to do the podcast.
Me too. I'm glad. Check out Aaron's podcast at noobthoughts.tv. There's an episode with me on it and several other comedians from Columbus. Who do you have on now lately?
I took a brief hiatus for a little bit. I recently had Columbus dubstep DJ Nick DeFazio.
Okay,
I had him on there, or Dead Romeo, as it
Dead
were.
Romeo.
Dead Romeo is his dubstep name. I recently had him on there. I had Dave Berkey and his wife Natalie Cuevas Berkey with a C, not a J, as I spelt it in the episode. Prior to that, Jay Ingram, Ricky Mulvey, Hassan Hancock. I mean, a bunch of
great people.
Alex Green, Dan Loper. They've all been on this podcast before.
Yeah. So definitely check that out, guys. It airs on like Sundays, I believe. And it's and also he roasts a lot of almonds. He doesn't roast his guests. He's very nice, but you catch him roasting almonds. And
chestnuts on an open fire. If you catch me in the middle of December or something, you know.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'll just keep doing this podcast and sautéing. Well, not really sautéing mushrooms, but I'll talk about sautéing mushrooms because I know what that means now. Thank you, Nick Glasser. All right, thanks for being here.
Absolutely, Aaron. Thank you so much for having me, Brian. Adios, everybody.
Bye.